Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insane Cast. The first episode today with AJ Morris, head coach of Team MBM. Hi AJ, and welcome to the Insane Cast. Nice to have you here. I think this was like an epic intro for an epic podcast, and for you, you're also a proponent of be epic. So I am epic right now. AJ, nice to have you here. You want to introduce yourself a little bit for all people out there that don't know you at the moment?
Sure. So I was expecting nothing less from you, man, in terms of the intro. It's unreal podcast. Wow. Okay. So yeah, a bit of an intro on me. So I'm 24 years old. I live in the UK in a place near Rotherham, which is just in the north of the UK. And the main thing you need to know about where I live is that it's near to Ultraflex in Rotherham, which is the best gym in the UK, in my opinion. It's like Dash Gym, but different. The main thing that makes it amazing is the people, of course, but we'll get onto that later. So yeah, a bit more about me. I competed first in 2014 in natural bodybuilding as a teenager. I competed again in 2015 and then took a year out. And then I had my most successful season in 2017. And then since then, I've been personally, from a bodybuilding perspective, in an off season, working on making the jump or the level up, whatever you call it, from juniors to men's open. And my ultimate goal within bodybuilding is to turn pro with the WNBF. Well, I lie. That's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to win a pro world title with the WNBF. So, but that's a very, very long term one. So that's my sort of bodybuilding side of things personally. And then outside of that, like Chris said, I'm the head coach of Team MBM. I'm the only coach of Team MBM at the moment. I don't know whether it will employ in the future, but for now, that's the way it works. And I coach primarily natural athletes in their off seasons and to the stage as well. And obviously Chris was a huge part of Team MBM for a long time. And it was a pleasure to coach Chris. And we had some unreal transformations going down. So yeah, like this is the coaching side of things for me is my absolute passion. It's what I love doing day to day. It's what I wake up at whatever time in the morning, go to bed at whatever time at night to do, because I just absolutely love it. And it's my driving force in life. I think it always will be for a long, long time. And I would not change that for the world. I think even if I didn't train personally, or if I was injured or whatever, I would still love coaching. So yeah, that's me. And obviously I'm trained by JP Athlete as well. So just thought I'd throw that in there. If you want this hoodie, just check out that.
I think that was another life goal of yours, to become
It actually genuinely was. Yeah. As much as the sales plugs are quite funny, it was actually like a very much a long-term goal for me. Like I knew of Jordan in late 2014. I had him on my podcast in 2015 and was shitting myself, like trying to sort of put my words together and interview this guy that I looked up to so much. Yeah. And now to sort of be at a point where, best part of 5 years later, I've been recognized by him and being accepted onto his team, which is amazing. So yeah, one of my first videos actually went live today as we were recording this. So
yeah. So definitely check that out on Trained by Chippy, on the member site. Yeah, when it comes to bodybuilding, business, and goal setting in general, I think you're a big proponent of setting goals very high, and trying to chase them down. That's something I've learned from you very early, and that's why I am who I am right now in terms of training. And you always try to push me, you want to push your athletes to the maximum, to the absolute optimum, and that's why you're to the moon and beyond. Yeah, and that's why you're such a great or an amazing coach. Yeah, because you always try to want people to get better. When it comes to your current contest prep state, I mean, you've talked about the season 2017 and stuff. What's your goal? I mean, we all know what your goal is for this season, but what's your goal when it comes to being on stage this year, because we have some kind of different year with COVID-19 and stuff. We don't know how many people there will be on stage and how the situation will look like in terms of audience and stuff. What's your goal for yourself to present this year? I mean, I just saw your check-in pictures. It's looking tremendously, but what's your goal for yourself?
Yeah, so I think goal-wise, for me personally, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to just win everything, because that's me. That's my nature. I'm super competitive. I'm like uber competitive in everything, business, bodybuilding, like in the gym, everything. I've always been a guy that wants to be the best, what I do. So I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a goal, but alongside that, to sort of create a more humble answer, I guess it's like I do just want to be better than I was last time in every shape and form. So better prep than last time, which, to be honest, Chris, I think I've already achieved. I think that the prep itself has been just almost confusingly smooth.
Yeah.
By this point last time, I was really having to sort of pull out all the cards with expenditure just to sort of start ticking away. And I look at my physique shots, and I'm like, how am I getting this lean with like no cardio and just walking my dog? I just don't really understand it. So a better prep would be, the goal there. And I think that's already happening. And alongside that, like I said, aesthetically beating myself on stage, so having more muscle with better condition, better balance, better fullness, better posing routine, better posing presence when I'm going through the normal rounds of posing. Like just everything. I just want to, if I want to be a professional athlete, I've got to be a professional in everything that I do. So my whole prep has been geared around that upshift from an amateur athlete to a professional. And to be honest, when I was even a junior, and this is my advice to anyone listening that is a junior, try and look at what the pros do. Like try and just emulate a professional natural bodybuilder, and then, or even a pro, assisted bodybuilder. It doesn't matter. Anyone that's professional, try and emulate what they do, because then when you step on stage as a junior, you're going to shock people, because there's not many juniors that pose like pros. There's not many juniors that, think about their routine. There's not many juniors that peak perfectly, like they're considered amateurs and they're considered young. So if you shock people with coming up and sort of like turning up, essentially, you will do extremely well. And you may even, win a lot of shows as a result of that, if you've got the right balance of work ethic and genetics, which obviously bodybuilding is all about. It's a balance of the two. It's not really one or the other. It's you have to have both, to be honest. So yeah, that's where I'm at with sort of like my goals this year and being real about them. And I just also hope that I can actually step on stage. Like, there's this whole fear mongering at the moment with this second lockdown, and it's just like kind of like certain areas are being on like a watch list, and apparently my area is like some sort of like hit list for COVID. So yeah, it's a bit worrying, to be honest. And actually hopping on a call with Lee, who runs the UK FBA, hopping on a call with him today, just have a little bit of a catch up, because he always fills me in on what's going on, and it gives me a little bit of an insight into like the whole sort of background of the shows, just so I can pass it on to my clients and then pass it through social media and things like that. So, and partly because he's a close friend of mine, but I'll be interested to hear what he has to say, because I think there's some things that, especially with the World Finals in America, I'm not sure as to what's going to happen there. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to happen, to be honest. Yeah. It's not looking good in the States, and it's definitely not looking good for traveling with an Esther. So we'll see.
And what would you do if the information comes around that the walls are in the States are not going to happening?
I'll win my pro card in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. And then continue your journey in the upcoming years.
I think what I do is, it's interesting because me and Cuba chatted about this a lot. Like, I think I spun my wheels a little bit too much at the end of my off season. I think I just stayed at a certain weight for a bit too long. Like, as much as I made a lot of progress, I think that I'd have actually benefited myself from having a shorter off season with a very big focus on getting to a certain body weight, pushing my training performance up to like maximum levels, and then just prepping, rather than having this huge weight. I had such a long weight at the end where I was just sort of like in the mid 190s and just hovering like a sort of sloppy mess.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like just every day, mate, every day was just rubbish. I'm not going to lie to you, mate. Every day sucked because I had no appetite. I felt extremely lethargic. Like I'd always say like, I need a nap. And I'd never nap because I don't nap. Naps to me, like, I know you nap sometimes, but I think it's a rarity for you.
Yeah.
But naps to me, like, I lose time. It's like, I need that time back. But I then think that they're actually very beneficial. I took like 1 or 2 and I was like, I actually feel relatively good now. And a lot of the time I just really didn't enjoy being that body weight. So I think actually if I do manage to win my pro card this year, I'll see as to how far off I think I am from being a good pro, and then either take just a year off or maybe even go again in 2021. At the very end of the year, like utilizing just the Worlds as like my main show. So that would mean I'd have an off season for like 6 or 7 months, and then I'd just target the show right at the end of the year. And WNBF have a 2-year bracket anyway. So if you win your pro card, you have to compete within 2 years. So,
and what would you do if the Worlds get pushed back until December or so?
I'd just keep going.
Really?
Definitely,
Okay.
100%. If they get pushed back until January or February, mate, I'll keep going. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll just really have to be really smart.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to like consult with a few people. Obviously, I'll really talk with Cuba and Jordan and see what they think. But on like a very much like a drug-free prep scenario, I'd probably consult with Valentin and try and maybe consult with Cliff as well if they were game for that, just because I'd need to know really how to remove myself from stage condition in October and then be ready again in January or February. And that's going to be hard. And let's face it, if I'm in absolute bang on condition in October, I'm not going to look the same in January or February. I think the reverse process would have to be done like so well. It would have to be like removal of fatigue, but not enough body weight gain to then look really bad when I start coming down again. So it would be a very difficult one to manage, but I would just have to keep going because I don't see another option really. If that was my only option to win a pro card, I just have to keep going. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, mate.
But I think a huge problem is the uncertainty with these shows. I mean, if it gets pushed back and you don't know if the show is going to happen, that's a problem, because now you're extending your diet and doing the reverse and getting in a better place in terms of health to attend a show that might not happen.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Very, very frustrating. Very weird period of time for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I followed your journey along, and many people do, your current prep. And as you talked about before, it seems that your prep is going down so smoothly in terms of your appetite, your cardio, your expenditure, and all the changes you have to make to get into a better condition. And compared to your last prep, it's just a smooth ride. Yeah. What would you say in terms of changes you've made from this prep to last? What made the difference in terms of, is it like the how often you prep? I mean, you get better every time you prep. Yeah. That's what all people say. But is it only that, or is it a specific thing you've changed throughout the prep, or you did differently?
I think one of the biggest changes is the fact that I just had 2 years off prior to this one starting. Like last time I only had a year, and I only worked my calories up to, like, my calories are really not that high at all, Chris. I think the highest that they ever got really were like 3,400, 3,500 on my 2016 off season before my 2017 prep. and I was in the same point with appetite and things like that, but my calories were just a lot lower. So my expenditure was very similar as well. So, but my training was obviously a lot different back then. So I was probably having less demand in my training sessions from training not as hard and things like that. So I think one of the biggest changes would just be starting with a higher calorie set point as a result of that. So like my calories on training days were like 4,400 or 4,500, and then I'd have like a sort of a free meal after every leg day as well. So I just had so much stuff in that, and also like a lot of my calories were coming from things like, like my meal one was like blended, and I'd have 100 carbs in my intro, like mate, yeah, post workout was like bagels and 150 grams of jam.
Yeah,
just like a disgusting diet, mate. For the very end,
Yeah.
And that's something I've definitely learned. Like I need to just keep whole foods in for as long as possible.
Yep.
And try and avoid blending and try and avoid these kind of shit things for as long as I can. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the high calorie set point put me in a good spot. And that made, the first months of prep was so damn easy. It just, I was like, can I please reduce my calories more? Because I was just not hungry at all. And now I think like the last week has been probably the first week where I felt like a bit of, decent hunger, and also a little bit more just diet fatigue, like a bit more draggy. So besides that, it's been relatively straightforward in terms of just the management of the prep things that come in and try and rob you of your energy and your day and your mood and things like that. And to be fair, I'm always in a pretty good mood. Like it takes a lot to upset me, so I don't tend to get like angry or ratty. I just get a little bit more quiet, to be honest. Like when I'm a bit tired during prep, I just go a little quiet. So in the evenings, I'd just, if I was conversing with people, I'd just prefer to be a bit more quiet and just sit down and chill, rather than talk a lot. So because I run out of talking energy by the end of the day, especially with check-ins. Yeah. It's like, I'm done with talking for now.
It almost seems like you're very emotionally detached from your prep, from the whole process. You seem like a very objective person on yourself when it comes to all the parameters you have to manage throughout your prep. But I think that's an important thing to do, because you coach yourself. But I mean, you have people around you that support you, like Cuba or maybe Valentin if you need him and stuff. Yeah. But you coach yourself, and I think the main thing that's important is like a little bit of objectivity compared to when you have a coach.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I agree with that massively.
Yeah. How's it going in terms of like? I mean, you talked about hunger. When it comes to cravings or food focus, is anything like that present at the moment?
You know what? Like the first week when I started dieting, and like even in the second week, because I was having after every leg day, I was having a KFC. I'm not sure if you've ever had a KFC before. Have you ever had a KFC? Did you have one in the States?
No, not really.
Oh,
no.
Man. Well, when you come over, like later in the year, I'm gonna get you a KFC.
Yeah.
They're good. So I was like, I really miss my KFC, because it was just something nice to look forward to. It's like when you do a prep, unless Cowpuck's in like sushi refeed, you'll probably miss some sushi, man. Yeah. So it's like sometimes I'd sit down, like actually sit down with it, as opposed to now a lot of the time, unfortunately, I do eat with good hygiene, but I do tend to eat a bit more at my desk and things like that, rather than when I have a meal out, I'll sit down and I'll eat it with the people that are around me. So, it was a nice thing to do. So I kind of missed that first, but then after that, it's been no cravings, to be honest, mate. The only thing, funny enough, I crave during prep is just a bit more energy sometimes. Mm-hmm. I get to the end of the day and I'm starting to flag a little bit. Like you'll probably know this from previous diets where you've done and you've gotten relatively lean, but you almost just start struggling to like just speak. Like speaking becomes harder, and that's just, I find that so annoying, because I really like speaking. Yep. And I really like being I like have different vocal tones and things like that, and I don't like just speaking so monotone all the time and like the same. Like you're the same, you go up and down and like all over the place with tone. That's good because it makes like you are good to listen to, and a lot of people always say that, and I will always say that about your content. You're great to listen to, and a lot of people say that about my content as well. They say, "Oh, I can listen to your IGTVs because I like listening to you speak," and I hate it when I can't speak that way because I just sound like just a generic robotic person, and that to me just sucks. So I'd prefer just to have a little bit more energy, but the cravings for food, I'm not a huge foodie, really. So I don't really crave like cookies or like chocolate or things like that, and it doesn't really bother me too much. And the last thing I'm thinking about is like, what meal am I going to have after I finish prep? Like I'm not thinking about that at all. Like people would research, places around the show venue to go after, and I'm just like, I'd rather come home and like have some cream of rice and some berries and actually head to bed without feeling sick. So that's always a nice thing as well, as you wake up looking good rather than complete shit.
Of course. I mean, when it comes to myself and my eating behaviors in the past, you know me well in terms of veggies and volume and stuff. We've talked about that in many feedback videos, in terms of my nutritional behaviors. What is your experience with clients when it comes to volume eating and veggies throughout the off season? How do they handle prepping when caloric intake is reduced?
I think, to be honest, the changes that I implement myself are like pretty minor with volume, especially initially, because I don't like to utilize that tool, and also I don't even like to utilize it too much later, because the thing is, the way you've got to view it is that you're always going to be hungry. If when your hunger kicks in, you're going to be hungry, and you've just got to learn to accept it. So acceptance of hunger is just so key. Trying to satiate hunger with like protein fluff or a kilo of berries each meal is just going to make you feel like shit. So I would prefer to just keep volume relatively static, Mm-hmm. And I like, for example, I have a lot of fruit. So I have 1, 2, 3 meals with like 200 grams, 250 grams of fruit. So I have just under a kilogram of fruit per day. But vegetable wise, I literally just have across 2 meals, I have like 100 grams of veg in each meal. Okay. So my veg is very low. And then I do tend to supplement like a greens powder sometimes as well. Mm-hmm. But other than that, like I don't see a reason why I would want to just bloat myself with veg right now. Like my carbs aren't low enough to want to create meals like that. I still have a good amount of rice in both of my meals that have veg in them. So, I mean, if my carbs have to get really low, and I have like a veg only meal, then maybe I'll have a bit more. But I tend to advise clients to just not use a huge amount. Because they just end up on the back foot with digestion or bloat or distension of the midsection, especially females, like bikini athletes, just using like crazy amount of sweeteners and eating like 4 cucumbers a day with Splendor on them. And I'm like, that's not a good, it's a slippery slope.
Do you think like artificial sweeteners can be a problem throughout the prep? Because Melanie, I think she told you because she's using, a huge amount every day. Yeah. Do you think it can be a problem, in terms of water retention, digestion and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I think my midsection gets a lot more blurry when I use too much artificial sweetness. Like the only ones that I have are just the things that occur naturally in my sups, and that's it. I tend to avoid diet drinks as well, because I do think I don't look as hard. I look softer. I look more like I'm holding a bit of extracellular fluid. Obviously when you're lean, when you're absolutely diced, you won't have much ability to store extracellular fluid anyway, because there's not much extracellular space. But I would say that even then I would avoid using them. Like I do little things like I'll chuck out like certain ways, and I'll chuck out even like EAAs and things like that towards the end, just to like look as good as I possibly can.
Okay.
But yeah, just like minor changes like that, I think they make a difference. I think when you start to abuse artificial sweeteners, they can definitely have bad effects for sure, like big time. Like they can really fuck you up in terms of digestion, and then also they can make you feel like you just have all the cravings in the world.
Yeah.
Because you get the taste of something sweet. It's not actually something sweet, so you still want the cookie, or you still want the ice cream or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to not use and abuse them for sure.
Yep. I mean, the another interesting topic is like cardio, because you're not doing any cardio at the moment, and in your off season you were a big proponent because of general health and fitness and kind of recovery, intra-set recovery, or not intra-set, but between set recovery, intra-workout recovery, and also between your workouts. When it comes to cardio in a diet, in a prepping phase, kind of you are right now. When would be a time for you in your circumstances right now to implement cardio? Is it a point when now your weight stalls? Would you then implement cardio, or would you do it later down the road?
I think I prefer just a bit less food for now. The thing is with the cardio is like, it's going to sound weird, but it's going to be more of a stressor for me than it is a benefit, because for me to do cardio properly, I can't do it on a bike at home, and I can't do it on a treadmill. I'm going to have to go to the gym, and I'm going to have to get on the stairs, because I'm already fit enough from just being lighter to not be able to get my heart rate up enough on the bike at home, unless I really pedal hard. And guess what happens when I pedal hard? I have to fuck up my legs. And then if I'm on the treadmill, there's no way I'm getting my heart rate over 140 BPM, because I'll have to run. Like, I'll have to start jogging. And then again, that's just high impact cardio.
Yeah.
So for me, those two options are a void. So my way of, I think, performing cardio is just going to be when I go for the morning walk with Barney, I'm just going to walk faster. The walk that I go on is pretty undulant, and I can just let him off the whole time. I don't have to have him on the lead, so I can control my pace. Right now, I just literally just stroll around, listen to my audiobook, reply to some friend. I don't tend to do work on the walk. I tend to avoid work. So I just I'll voice note some of my friends, or something like that. So, that's what I think. That's where I think I can change things. That's where I think I can just increase the intensity and just walk quick. Because I can definitely get my heart rate up a little more on that walk. It won't be over 140 BPM, but it will probably be 120 BPM rather than what it is now, which is probably 100. So I can increase that. But then I don't think I need to do, I don't think I'll need to do any direct cardio this prep at all. Which if anything it's going to be a refreshing way of getting lean. Just literally not stepping one foot on the Stairmaster once. So, because I think I'm enough of the way there to have enough room in the tank to make nutrition adjustments and little adjustments to the way I do steps to not have to use the cardio tool. By this point in my last prep, I was already doing 1,200 calories of cardio a week, and
oh my god,
yeah, mate, yeah. So after most sessions, I'd be on the Stairmaster, and in the mornings, I'd be on the Stairmaster. Right at the end of the prep, I was doing 45 minutes every single morning.
Such a huge difference. This is
it's colossal, but I think the training is massively different. I spend a decent amount longer in the gym for most of my sessions, just because I'm stronger, and also I'm doing a little bit more intense work, so the rest periods are longer. Other than, I'm probably better at managing stress than I was in 2017. So little things would really annoy me with work, and I'd just get really upset. I just don't let that happen anymore. Since 2017, I've had a lot more bigger shit happen in life to me than a little mess up with a client or a little later check-in or something like that. And I think this is why life is there to teach you lessons, is because you learn that in the grand, you learn perspective. So a little issue is a little issue. A big issue is a big issue. And your ability to sort of separate those as you grow older and mature becomes much better. So I think actually I can manage stress a lot better than I did in 2017. That's going to make a big difference. I think people underestimate how important it is to really manage that side of things. But yeah, mate, it's interesting, isn't it? But I don't think cardio will be added for now, for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to a position like you're right now in terms of as a coach and with your client base and stuff, stress management is a huge part, and stress management is crucial. Correct stress management when it comes to management of your variables and your recovery also. When it comes to the factor stress management, are there any kind of new routines, new habits you've implemented right now? Because so many people are talking about meditation when it comes to prepping, and in the off season they are not meditating or at all. But in the prep, when they are in a leaner state and in a more stressful state in terms of overall stress, they get to meditate more often and try to tend to try more things when it comes to stress management, and then they buy blue light blocking glasses and try to optimize all the different things. But what are some kind of new routines, new habits you've implemented now compared to your off season?
I think compared to my off season, not much, to be honest. I still manage stress in the same way that I manage stress now. I just make sure that at the end of the day, I'm having some time to myself. I think that's the biggest tip that I can give to anyone is like, be selfish enough to give some time to yourself at the end of the day. Because like as coaches, especially, and there'll be a lot of coaches watching this, we spend so much of our day being selfless and like caring for other people and giving other people our time. Like I give other people my time from about 6 a.m. till fucking 10 p.m., and so do you. So, apart from the period in which we train, but we spend so much of our day just giving and giving and giving that you need to have a little bit of time just to sort of check in with yourself, like see how you are. What are you doing? Has your day gone well? So for me, that's either like, watching a bit of like Formula One and motorsport and chilling out and just sitting down and just putting my phone away. Or it's just having a fucking bath or something like that, man.
Yeah.
Like baths chill me out a lot. Like I just sit in the bath and just chill the fuck out and don't think about anything.
Yeah.
So those things for me do definitely help. I don't meditate anymore. I meditated for a long time last year when I was prepping a load of people for the final shows of the season. And I was really stressing out about like how they looked and whether they were going to do well. And we just moved house here as well. So it was a fucking crazy time in my life. But it was one that I managed, again, pretty decently. But when you meditate for so long, like I think I had like a 180-day streak or 150-day streak or something. So when you meditate for so long, you just know how it feels to just give yourself some time and just check in. So I just do that most mornings. When I make my morning drink and my coffee, I'll just stand there for a little bit and just take a few breaths and just see how I feel, rather than just bringing my coffee upstairs, drinking it, cracking on, and just not really realizing whether I feel like shit or whether I feel good.
Yep.
But most of the time I feel good, which is nice. So yeah, it's like good to check in with yourself for sure.
Yeah, I think a huge problem with meditation and with some apps that promote meditation is that you get only into the routine of meditating and only doing it for the streak without for the sake of meditating and without for the sake of getting into yourself and take care and breathe and take your time and all that stuff. And that's the good part of meditation, but that was something that got lost for me. And therefore I stopped meditating too, because it was like, I only meditated to meditate, to have the streak and to post it on Instagram and fancy stuff there. Because then people know, Chris is meditating. Yeah, so such a great person and stuff. Yeah. And I think that can be a problem. So, instead of taking time for yourself, with activities you enjoy, going for a walk and stuff, you talked about that before, in terms of stress management, can be a useful tool. I think even better than meditating and sitting down and breathing and listening to the voice and stuff. It can be great for some people that enjoy it, but it's not for everyone. And not everyone has to do it.
Agreed. I mean, ultimately, like grounding yourself does not have to be done with any specific task. It can just be with just doing things that you like, but they're for you. You know, the period of meditation is for you, but a lot of the time, mate, I was doing it for the streak as well. You know, I remember on holiday, I put the app out on my bedside table and just played it for 2 minutes. I didn't even meditate.
Only for the streak. Yeah.
Just because I wanted to put my streak on my story.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. Yeah. Relaxation at its finest.
I feel so calm now.
Yeah, I did that too one time when I was sick and I laid in bed and had to vomit and all that stuff. And I had no energy to meditate at all. And then I put it out and just to put it on Instagram. It's
just like,
oh my God. Yeah. Nice stories. You talked about training before. How much time have you got left? Just for my information.
We can keep going for another like 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
That's awesome. Great. So like 1 hour in somewhere
on Skype, yeah, but on the recording we're like 40 minutes in.
Okay. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Cool.
But when it comes to training, that's what I wanted to ask. When it comes to training, you've talked about your change in training, your mindset approaching training and stuff. What's the main difference? You talked about the training intensity and stuff, and you're now training with Cuba. How's your training mindset changed and your training intensity changed, and what in terms of for all the people out there when it comes to training volume and stuff? And what are the main difference compared to your last prep?
Sure. So I think the main thing that's changed over recent times is my frequency has dropped quite drastically. So how many times I go to the gym. In 2017, I was training 6 times a week. So I'm now like some weeks I'll train 4 times, some weeks I'll train 5. It depends. It's a rolling rotation. So, and to give people an idea of what that is, if they don't follow my splits, but it's essentially I train push, pull, off, legs off. So that's the split, and that's what I roll with. I did have arm days in there as well. For like a month, no, 2 months. 2 months I had the arm days in, and they were good, but we removed them just because I needed the rest days. I needed to have days where I just did not go to the gym, and I just basically just did work and just sat down and did my steps and whatever. Yeah, so that's the main thing that's changed in terms of like the overall setup. But other than that, I've just trained for longer, so I've learned how to train harder. I can train harder than I ever have in the past, and I will only be able to train harder and more accurately over time. You know, like time will just make me better at performing movements. Time will make me better at being able to produce intensity, but at the same time, with intensity, have accuracy. So I think, you know, like rep accuracy and intensity is like 2 of the most overlooked variables within training programming, and or at least within training itself, like, you know, without even looking at the minutiae of exercise selection and things like that. You know, you need to be understanding of how to train well accurately and how to train hard intensely. So yeah, it's those are the main things that have changed. And then of course having training partners consistently, because I didn't have that in 2017. I have no training partners. I just trained on my own. And I think having training partners, as much as people think they're like a thing you don't need, I think actually, to be honest, you do need them. I think you do. I think you need a good training partner. I think it's something that's like they can take you to a whole nother level. Like, as much as a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm always giving my all. It doesn't have to be someone that's there with you every session. It could just be someone that you have an occasional session with. And it could just be someone that always spots you. You know, like, I think having someone there for your big sets especially makes such a huge difference. So yeah, training partners are something I think are key.
Yeah, of course. But do you have any message for the people out there that now saying, yeah, Cuba is an RFPB pro and you cannot train like Cuba because you're like a natural bodybuilder and stuff? Any kind of message for the people out there?
Shut up.
Okay, great.
Thank you for listening. I think, in all honesty, like the training between assisted and naturals are so similar that you just don't need to change much. the main parameters are obviously how well you can recover. And funnily enough, me and Cuba can recover from about a similar amount of work. I need a bit more in my chest. He needs a bit more on his back, but we just make that work in our sessions, and we manipulate them and we individualize them based on those principles. So there are small changes and there are small differences, but there will always be small changes and differences between two individuals that are training in the gym. You're not going to meet two people that are the exact same.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, like, the whole training style argument, or, like, I just don't get that, because what will grow muscle on anyone.
Yeah.
So, if I should train light and Cuba should train heavy, or Cuba should train light and I should train heavy, then fucking hell, like, I think you've just got your understandings of training itself just mixed up, because it's really not that complicated. Progressive overload and, training with a volume that you can recover from is about as simple as it gets, and that's what we do. Yeah. So, yeah.
Definitely. And for anyone who's out there and doesn't know what we were talking about, follow Cuba Seelan, IFBB Pro on Instagram. How is his last name pronounced? Seelan?
I used to pronounce it Seelan, but I think it's actually Chelan.
How?
Chelan.
Okay,
I'm
great.
pretty confident it's that, but he's never raised it with me, like when I've called him Seelan. So
okay.
I think he's just scared to tell me that I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Okay.
But
okay.
I call him Cuba. So
yeah, it's just
Cuba Seelan.
Just
Chelan.
Cuba, a very big guy. Yeah. Okay. And one thing I'm interested into as well is like, so many people out there are talking about now they are in prep and they're trying to hold on muscle mass, and their progression is going down. They want to hold on to their weights. They're moving into the gym and stuff, but you're going into each session wanting to progress. And, for anyone, following us in our bent over row battle knows that you're progressing this one as well. Yeah. So how do you approach, a lift, and when it comes to progress, and how do you emotional detach yourself if something doesn't go in the right direction?
So yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to do that, as you know, and very difficult to sort of remove the bond that you have with a lift, because when we care about something, we're going to be emotionally attached to it in some sort of way. So, I definitely still struggle with that. I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm getting better at being able to handle it and being able to sort of be objective when it comes to my lifts. And I think what you need to sort of do, like how I cope with progression. So I'll go in and I'll really just sort of feed off my warm up sets, and I'll really try and create an understanding of how I am on that day. How strong am I? How can I stabilize the bar? How well can I brace? Like what was my morning like? Was it stressful? Was it low stress? Whatever. All of these things add up towards creating an understanding of how well that lift will go on that day. And then I can then understand as to whether I should be taking a progression on my top set, or whether I should be retaining and trying to fix execution. I'll have notes on my logbook for that, of course. And yeah, I mean, it's sometimes harder to understand and like really pinpoint as to what option is going to be the best. But you'll always find it if you get better and better at understanding the variables at play. And yeah, I think that's something that I'm definitely getting better at. Emotional attachment wise, so I'm not going to lie, I'll get upset if something goes well, I'll get upset if something doesn't go well. I'll get excited and happy if it goes well. It's understandable. But what I won't let happen is for that one lift to then ruin the rest of my session or my day. I don't let that happen anymore. I don't leave the gym and think, fuck my evening and just like go and eat a pizza or something just because I didn't get my bent over row numbers, or Chris beat me on the bent over row or something like that. I wouldn't get upset about that really, to the point where it would affect anything apart from that moment. And I use that upset feeling to actually drive a positive influence into the rest of the session. So the rest of the session will end up probably going quite well because I'm a little bit annoyed as to how the session started, So I think that's an important one to realize, is that you decide as to how well the rest of your session goes, based off your first movement,
Mm-hmm.
not how badly it goes,
Yeah. Do you think Cuba as a training partner had a positive outcome on your mindset in terms of that? So you're pushing each other up when progression isn't going in the right direction?
He'll always give me the rationale, which is what you need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So like if something doesn't make sense, it will make sense when Cuba explains it to me why I'm not going forwards.
Yeah.
And he always used to say that anyway, even when we didn't train with each other. He'd come over and watch a few of my top sets and things like that. And then my top set didn't go well. He just asked me why. I remember there was a period where I was trying to like back squat and deadlift and bent over row, all in the same like sort of 9-day period.
Yeah.
My back squats just kept going really badly and just kept regressing, and I don't think they did a huge amount for me really in the long run. I wish I kind of just accepted that they're not a great movement really, and just focused more so on getting really, really strong at the hacks and the pendulums and the leg presses, because now that I have done that, like my legs, even during the diet phase, just look so much better. Then the only squat variation that I'll ever have in, I lie, I'll probably back squat at some point, but I mean, come on, I'll probably do it at some point. But I think the one that I will pop back in when I'm heavy enough to really stabilize it properly again, because I think I'm about 7 to 8 pounds away from stage condition now.
Yeah.
So the one that I will pop back in will be the safety bar squat. And I'll go with that when I'm probably about 15, 20 pounds above stage weight. Because I love that, man. I love that lift so much. Doing it in the garage was especially fun because it was such a high risk element. Like if I bailed the lift, it would really hurt me.
God.
If I missed the rack, it would crush me. It's just such an amazingly fun time.
How the rack looked, it was, oh my God. It was like, it seems like it is falling apart in every second. It's like,
bolts, so.
Oh my God. Yeah. But of course, reverse banded, the safety bar squat.
Of course, reverse band. Yeah, so I can match your numbers or beat them. I just put a thicker band on.
Yeah. It's a great movement. It's a great movement.
Yeah. It really looks good for you for sure, man. I'm excited for that in the future for sure.
Yeah, of course. Now, the last prepping question, or the last thing I wrote down, is like you're prepping alone, and you're one of the few people who prep alone, because many people out there are having a coach or so. Valentin also is for the most part wanting to prep alone in his next season, I think. But what do you think? What do you think is the main difference between prepping alone and prepping with a coach? Because you always said that you're the person that's responsible for achieving success or not achieving success. Yeah. You're the only one that's responsible. But do you think you would profit from having a coach?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'd have to have one to really understand whether I would. I think I would in some ways. But I think I do kind of have like a coaching element, because I just send the check-ins to Cuba and I can bounce anything off Jordan. Like, when I joined Train by JP as an actual athlete, he the first thing he said to me was like, I know that you're sorted in terms of coaching, but if you need me as a coach at any point in your journey, like I'm just here. Like that's part of what you get when you're an athlete with Train by JP. You get the opportunity to be coached. So something that I have been thinking a lot about is I probably will open up that door in my next off season. I will probably say that I don't want it during the fat loss element of the prep, but I will say like, can you just take over my food and my training because the thing is I'll just train with Cuba anyway. So it's not like Jordan's going to have to do any different programming. But I'll just say, can I just check in with you? Can you just take over my food and just push it up to wherever it needs to be? So I think that's a potential thing that I'll do in the future, and I'd just like to learn how he communicates a little more, like, and how it would work with me being coached by him. I know that it's a very different communication process to what I do, but I'd just be interested to hear, like, just to feel it, just to like feel what it's like to be in that sort of setup. So yeah, I'd like that. But for now, with the prep and with the thing is, I got 4 years of competitive experience. I've prepped 4 times. So I kind of like just know my body really well. And I feel like with a coach, you need to like allow them so much time to get to know your body so they don't make wrong decisions. Signing up with a coach, really close to a show, like, 10 weeks out from a show or something, like, I don't think that's ever going to go perfectly, because they're not going to know enough about how you respond and how far they can push you to your level of muscle mass. Like, I could quite easily get pushed too hard or not pushed hard enough. I know where my limit is. So I know that within another 6 to 7 pounds, I'm going to be very close to my limit of conditioning without losing a lot of fullness off my upper body. And if I was to get lean, I would look overall worse as a bodybuilder. So I think, that's the reality of things, mate. Is I just know my processes very well, and I'm very comfortable with doing whatever it takes to like get to the body composition that's required, because I just enjoy getting there. I don't find it like a task, really. Like, I find it a little bit difficult sometimes, but it's definitely not something that I find overly difficult or hard or head fuck. I don't get head fucked by bodybuilding, mate. I just don't. I don't get head fucked by it, because at the end of the day, it's very simple. I don't really understand it when people say, I can't prep myself. I can't prep myself. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't really understand it massively, because I'm not that mindset. But I don't think many people are like me. I think 90% of people do definitely need a coach, because they can't look at themselves right. Yeah. They can't make the right decisions at the right time. But because I've always been so used to that, and getting used to it has allowed me to have a mindset. I just don't see why I'd do anything different. Right now, at least, maybe in the future I will try, and I'll tell you about that, and I'll come back on the podcast and say, Chris, look, I got
Yeah, I mean, I think you did a great job in your prep as well as in your off season when it comes to coaching yourself. And you're, as I talked about before, you're a very objective kind of person. So you can take a look at yourself and think, okay, this body part might be improved now, and stuff. Of course you have other people looking at you, but you're more objective than maybe another person, yeah, and therefore you're more suited in prepping yourself than maybe another person, yeah. A few rapid fire questions at the end. Now, it was a very useful talk, insane talk, yes. To be honest.
Insane talk.
Yeah, insane talk. When it comes to the UKDFBA, yeah, your home federation. Your home federation. If you would be the CEO or head of the UKDFBA, would you change anything in terms of organization and stuff?
Good question. Man. So I would. I think there's a lot of things that I would like to see done in a way that allows for more exposure, because I think the sport could be so much bigger. I've already tried to do this, obviously, with a few shows in 2018 that I filmed and put on my YouTube. But what I'd like to see is like a whole like film crew at the event, filming the show, but also like interviewing the athletes backstage and giving like some like proper good interviews, like making it more of a spectacle in a sport. Like, obviously this would be at the British final, the world final level. It wouldn't have to be at regional level, but at that level, I think we should make it more of a spectacle, more of a sport, and like follow the athletes and like let people know more about the athletes and their journey. And then as a result of that, gain loads more exposure. The shows itself, the way they're ran, is just incredible. Like they run the shows the best way possible, and I wouldn't be able to have enough knowledge yet to be able to change anything there. I think they do them just incredibly well. The venues are great. The audience is great. Lee is great. Amy's great. Like, they do an amazing job. I think the only thing that I would change is just having my little bit of a stance on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, not saying that Lee and Amy are old, but I think having like a little bit more of a perspective on like a younger generation of social media and how to expose the federation to social media would be great. So that's why I would change. It's just a bit more social media stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. What makes you, if you can name one thing, what makes you proud as a coach?
The influence I have on my guys and girls, the influence, and the people that it turns them into as well. Like that's the people that they become. You know, that's what I love seeing. As a result of them being under my tutelage or guidance or whatever, like I see them flourish into people that like are leveled the fuck up, which I think is amazing. So that's what makes me the most proud. I don't care whether that's taking someone from never like thought about getting on stage to coming like to going to compete on stage and not placing, but being like looking like they belong there, or it's taken from someone that thought that they were going to be a bikini athlete and now like, you know, the best figure athlete in the UK, or, you know, someone like yourself, Chris, you know, someone who thought they were going to be, you know, involved in a specific career for, you know, potentially a long time in their lives, and then they have a complete turnaround and have now, you know, changed their entire life as a result. And that kind of shit is so damn cool.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, I've only met you like once and I only had to once in person to, you know, have that influence, and the rest was done just online is fucking crazy. It's insane, isn't it, really? But it's cool. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. I think you as a coach are not only changing lives physically, but only in a few matter of ways. Yeah, of course. And so thank you, of course. When it comes to your future, this is the last question. Do you see yourself as a coach for your whole life, or can you imagine doing something other beyond that?
I don't think I can imagine myself doing much else other than coaching, but I think I will at some point. I think by the time I'm 30, I'll be thinking about what other things I can really get stuck into. Because don't get me wrong, I'm getting slowly stuck into some other things now. So I can imagine in 6 years' time, 5 years' time, I'll probably be stuck into something else, as well as being a coach, you know, but something subsidiary to that. I've realized how much I love business in general, just by being someone who's built a business. I love it so much. So there are already some opportunities that have arisen through coaching certain people and getting to know certain people that are pretty cool, and they could land me up in a position where I could have to do like a lot less coaching, because it would just be like more beneficial for my time, and as a result still be very sort of, you know, profitable financially. So, but I love being busy. I love the elements of my day that demands a lot of me, and I love looking at a day and thinking, damn, like this is going to be a little tough to get through. But I love that kind of shit. Like I like it at the end of the day when I've accomplished that. Yep. So I wouldn't change that element for the world, but I think just any opportunity that I get to diversify or do new things or push myself, I will take.
Yep.
Definitely.
Nice one. But not going back into motorsports.
I wouldn't never say never, but I wouldn't race like myself competitively, because I'm too old already, way too old to reach the level that I'd want to get to. But one day I will buy a car that operates on the road, but also I can take on the track. So
nice one.
And I already know which car that is. Like, so I've got all of these little things in my head that, but I've also got like non-negotiables in my life that I want to achieve. Like I would like to live in a really nice house, and I've got a goal also to like a really random goal to like build my own house. I don't know whether that's something that has ever intrigued you, but the immense stress and difficulty of doing so just makes me want to do it.
Really?
It's like, yeah, it does, man. Like I know how much like problems that would cause in my life, like in terms of like day-to-day worry and stress, but like it invites me. It's like a door that I need to open. I don't know why, but I've always kind of chased things like that are just like I know that they're gonna be difficult and hard, but I think that's why I love bodybuilding as well, because I like the difficulty of it. I don't like life being too easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, is building a house a thing in the UK? Because in Austria, around in the countryside, everyone is building a house.
Yeah, it is. It is a thing. It's less common for sure in the UK. There's obviously a lot less total land available in certain areas in the UK as well. But there's quite a few areas around here that have land and would be viable. It's also a lot cheaper up north than it is down south to like buy land, and then even just buying produce and product and building materials and things like that is cheaper up here. So yeah, if in life I'm in the right position, and probably I'd have to be with the right person as well that would want to do that with me, because I don't think it's something that I want to do solely on my own. It would be something that I'd want as part of like probably a relationship or something like that, and build a place that I'd live in for the long term. So yeah, that's something that I've got as my sort of like random bucket list kind of goals. One of my close family friends did it as well. And I watched it happen, and ever since then, I was only like 8 years old when I saw them do it. But I was like, I want to do that shit.
Okay, that's going to be exciting, because building a house with your coaching business and all the other things you're doing, and also managing training and stuff, it seems like a impossible thing to do.
I think most of it I'll be like I'll be here, and the other people that I hire will be building the house here.
Okay.
So I'll be like an outside party. I won't be listeners, don't put it in your head like AJ Morris with bricks and mortar.
I just imagined that. That would be amazing.
It's like in my JP hoodie, just like putting together a house. I think it would definitely fall down if that was the case. Yeah, it would be a short-lived house.
AJ, that was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Really, it was an amazing first episode. Really. Do you have any kind of message you want to put out there for our listeners?
Yeah, and I think, first of all, obviously, thanks for listening. It was insane. It's a pleasure to speak to you as always, Chris. I think the only thing I'd sort of like to leave on is, if you would like to follow my journey elsewhere, then please do follow me on Instagram at AJMorris_. If you would like to follow my in-depth processes as to what I do on a daily basis and how my training schedule looks and nutrition, just go to trainbyjp.com and sign up there. And whilst you're there, check out the supplements, check out the clothing. They're the best, and they're only going to get better. Trust me, there's some cool products coming out, my man. You're gonna see them, Chris. You're going to see them, and you're going to be like, oh my God. So yeah, you're going to be blown away. And then besides that, obviously I have my own member site, which is mainly educational at the moment, and it's going to be that as we move forwards, I'm pretty sure. So it's going to be more focused around just like shorter educational format videos. And we've obviously got the online coaching education, which will just always stay there as a subsidiary sort of like video series for anyone that wants to be a coach. So if you want to be a coach and you want to level up and you want to go from being a PT, or even just someone that's not involved in the fitness industry and want to get into online coaching, go to madebymorriscoaching.com and you'll be able to sign up there. And other than that, if you would really like to block blue light and not have issues with that, go to RA Optics and get yourself some blue light blockers. These are my daylight ones.
Ah, really? I don't have my daylight ones here, but they are looking amazing. I haven't seen the daylight ones, to be honest. But for but for anyone out there listening, I also have a code like Chris10.
Yeah, but Chris's code doesn't work, so you better use AJ Morris.
Okay, yeah. Use the code you want to use. The products are great. Products are great.
Get the product.
Get the product. Oh my God.
That's enough plug-in for one day.
Fight against the blue light.
Fight it hard.
Fight it so hard. AJ, it was amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Highly appreciate that. And I think we'll catch up soon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We're going to do that. Bye.